I am live. Woohoo! You can see the steam coming from my hot tea. I'm super excited to drink this. Hopefully, you can hear me. It is a little bit loud in here today. It will hopefully be my last day that I am here. My electricity should be getting fixed later today, which I'm excited about. I have been basically have one extension cord from my well house to my actual house, and I've been running everything off of that for like 2 weeks now, so it's really been inconvenient, but hopefully it's getting fixed today. So hey Michael, how's it going? Michael says greetings. It is a pretty nice day, although it is kind of chilly. I wasn't trying to wear my coat in here and thought I could take it off, but it's quite cold. So hi, Kyle. How's it going? Hopefully, your day is going well. Um, hopefully, it doesn't rain today. It's been kind of drowsy the last few days. So, I kind of want to talk, well, mainly about recently. I finished a correspondence game against a high rated master, and I am super excited because, well, obviously I won. That's why I'm so excited. I am actually in the middle of a few different correspondence games with masters, and I plan to post the game that I won today. It just finished last night, and I was super excited about it. So I plan to put that to some music and post that later today. So super, super excited. Woohoo! Yeah, I have been mainly focused, like I was saying, on trying to play some high rated masters rather than, sometimes it's more fun to play blitz and fast paced chess, and you don't have to think about things like so much. It's not like, so mentally taxing, but it does not improve your chess. So if you want to actually get better at chess, what you should do is play games where you actually have to sit there and think about your moves and not just calculate out like one different move, but multiple different moves, and flip the board to play the other person's best move as well against you to to become better ultimately. So Negasonic middle aged, we need a nickname for you. Hey, how's it going? Sage. So play 2 minute games. Yes, Sage, as fast as you can play like bullet chess. That is definitely the path to becoming a master. Yeah, it's kind of funny, but it is really interesting to watch the faster games. Obviously, the tournaments that I have hosted thus far have all been Blitz. The upcoming Simul obviously is not going to be Blitz, although a Blitz Simul would be extremely entertaining to watch. We might do one of those in the future. But yeah, Blitz chess is extremely exciting, and the Simul, however, there are different formats for simuls. Some of them do have time limits, timed. What am I trying to say? Anyways, some of them are timed, and others are basically just that when the master comes around to your board, you make the move, and then the master just moves along the room to continue playing everybody else. So that'll be pretty exciting to have the Simul in Reading. Again, that is going to be on June 6th. And I will be live streaming it. They have Wi-Fi at Hordes and Boards, obviously being a gaming store. They have people that are in there streaming games, and they need to have good Wi-Fi. So I'm super excited about that. And if everything goes well, I have already said I will probably be moving all of my tournaments there. And I'm really excited about the relationship that is forming there with the Reading Chess Club and Hordes and Boards, for future anything. So it'll be exciting to see where the future heads. Sage says, congratulations on defeating a master. I am super excited. It was not easy, obviously. So I am really pumped to share the game, especially did I just say especially instead of especially? Especially at the ending, it was like a race to get a queen with one of my pawns, and for some reason they didn't calculate the moves out far enough, and he basically ended up. Well, he had one. I don't want to give it away. It's so exciting. He had one king, obviously, one king, one rook, and one pawn. So he only had three pieces. Obviously, you never have more than one king, but and I had my king, two pawns, and a rook. And so I'm running with my pawn. And finally, I get to the queen square. He didn't calculate it out, so he let me get the queen into check. And then I got to take his other pawn off of the board because he wasn't able to protect it from his position. It was so exciting. Like, yeah. I am thankful that the game went to checkmate, even though he, like, I mean, I would have been like, all right, let's just cry because this game is over. But yeah, a lot of people obviously will resign when they see a lost position. But sometimes, you know, in the end games, when it is down to like a few pawns and, you know, fighting it out and playing, you can even get a draw or a stalemate because of any sort of blunder. So I definitely encourage you, you know, in those end games that are a little bit sketchy, to hang in there and at least give it your best try. Alejandro says, congratulations, and probably won't be your last time beating a master. Yes, it will definitely not. And the opening that I use has already been used to defeat masters, but this is the most recent time that I have been able to use it. And I actually have, like I said, plans to make the video today with the PGN, and I'm super, super stoked about that. I actually didn't realize that chess.com like allows you to just input a PGN and turn something into like a video thing. So that's going to make it super easy. And like I said, I'll be posting that later today. So stay tuned for that. I'll post it on YouTube here and on Facebook. So also, I would like to invite people to join the. It sucks. I actually can't access this stuff at home, and I need to make my own account. Join this Lead Chess team. The Reading Chess Club Lead Chess team will eventually in the future be hosting different tournaments, and I would love for you to join that and get involved with that. And David D says, sorry, I'm late. Yes, no more chump games. Let's see you beat an officially rated master. We all want to see it. Yes, I am super excited about that as well. Alejandro says, when or who determines classify when someone becomes a master? Well, technically, if you want to be an officially rated master, there are different steps that you need to take to ultimately enter tournaments. I think I was reading that it's like, well, you don't have to enter tournaments. You just have to play rated games. I think it was 26 rated games to get your initial score. And then you would go and either play different rated games or, like I was saying, rated tournaments. They have them all over the place. The one that I went to was in Reno. I wasn't down there in time to play. This is like multiple years ago now. But they have a pretty large one in Reno. But I would definitely, you know, there are a lot of new, well, they don't even necessarily have to be new, but there are a lot of children that are like extremely underrated. And they, these bigger tournaments that include them, they really can throw off, you know, the rating system in general, that being underrated. They're like up and coming. And if you're like this, you're already an established master, you can be unequally paired because of the rating system, like because they're underrated. And these little kids were like dominating people. It was really, really discouraging for chess. Like I've said in multiple videos, to have like someone who's been playing chess their whole life and then a child comes along and basically destroys them. So I won't be having any tournaments that include children and adults together. I definitely want to encourage children to play chess. So having children's tournaments in the future. I mean, it's not something that I'm going to be focused on, but like in the golden age, I definitely want to have like chess in school, chess tournaments for children to encourage chess. But for right now, I'm only focused on adults, and I don't want to have a tournament where like a child comes in and dominates an adult. It's just not. It's not. It's not promoting chess. So. David D says went to mate because he fought till the end. I can see that. Yes. Mike the mechanic says, "Hey Inanna, I'll be watching in the background while working on this movie." Ooh, what movie are you working on, Mike? Thank you for tuning in. Alejandro says, "Thanks for the info. I appreciate the insight." And also back to the topic of masters, there are different levels of masters as well. So, like candidate master, FIDE master, international master, grandmaster. Most people are the most familiar with grandmaster, but there are like lower levels to achieve as well. So, yes. Just a random tidbit of information that most people, especially people that don't play chess, obviously won't know. David G says children are almost always underrated, and older masters, like in their 80s and older, are almost always overrated. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Obviously, when you think of like a little kid, they have the ability, especially a young child, has the ability to like absorb a material like a sponge. They have extremely fast working brains, right? Like they're extremely intelligent. So when they come onto the scenes, they can be, this master at a child level, and then this like 80-year-old who maybe wasn't even groomed like that, like some of these kids are like my child in the future will be like, I already have stuff saved in my shopping lists for like a little blankie that has chess pieces on it, and like baby stuff that's chess related, to instill a love of chess in my children from the beginning. I plan on like basically one of the Montessori principles applied to chess would be like always having a chessboard out so that the child is exposed to it. And further than that, having my husband, obviously, who will be the baby's father, actually like every day we set aside some time to play a game, to do some puzzles, so that the child sees us interacting in this manner. They want to get involved as well. They get to learn, they get to move the pieces with mommy and daddy, they get to like be involved in it, and it becomes like something extremely special rather than like, I mean, I do understand the parents that are like really strict and they send their people off to like the best chess teachers and all this stuff, and they're not so involved. But like I don't want it to be like I want it to be something that's like a family activity that's embraced rather than like an obligation to something that they have to do. But while being something that they have to do, because obviously my future son, the king, has to be a chess master. So it's kind of like not exactly I'm at a loss for what, not exactly something they cannot do. What's the word that I'm looking for? Mike the Mechanic says it's called Eric, but that may be a code name. They don't tell us much. Been driving in a couple of scenes today. It takes place in 1985. Nice. So you get to be driving around some old cars like usual then. Sounds pretty cool to drive around, even if it is on the back of a Hollywood set. At the same time, unfortunately, we all know how much deception that Hollywood has been involved in, and not just deception and corruption and evil. Like, to even get into these industries, we know that you have to basically sell out to the one who is running these industries, and be willing to do clown-like behaviors and even worse, evil behaviors. So, yeah. Anyways, I wasn't really trying to get off onto a rant about that. There's a guy who has his little girl in a high chair, and he's like driving her around the restaurant. It's really cute. Anyways, the golden age of chess tournaments. Yes, the golden age is going to be full of a lot of fun things. Most people really only. Someone was telling me yesterday that I need to, give people more of an idea of what the golden age is like, because really the only thing that I have constantly talked about is the Queen's Kitchen and this free vegan food, essentially. But I have also put out information about all sorts of things, like even from reforming the medical system to the educational system, to like all of these systems in general. The concepts might be good, but the actual application of these things, what has transpired from these, has resulted in, a medical industry that big pharma controls, where they train these doctors in all of these ways of medical malpractice, and then it ultimately just makes big pharma more money, which ultimately it's not about money for these entities. Obviously, money is a driving force, but the powers that be literally print money. So when you are trying to understand why they do these agendas, just remember, like, they literally print money. So it's not about money. Money is really for trying to control us, or trying to, control the other, it does control the inverts, but the inverts are ultimately just puppets of those in charge as well. So there's a hierarchy, and ultimately for the people at the top, it's not about money, it's about corruption, corrupting humans and controlling humans. We're on a human farm, so they have created this whole matrix. They create societies in the illusion of like progression and like capitalism on this. Like, they have all of these different economic systems. They have different like things happen throughout history that are done by them. Like let's say, I want to talk about Hitler, but I don't know what I think will be banned for. They basically put this entity in a position of influence. They promote this person, right? They are the ones that are in charge of, like, obviously it would be different in previous times, years when they didn't have the technology, but the concept is still the same, where they can gather all of these people to rally behind a person. They can plaster their signs all over your town, on the news, the newspapers. Like, these have always been controlled, so they can put these influential people into power to cause certain historical things to happen, right? So in the bigger scheme of things, they can create this whole elaborate historical story that was completely controlled by them the whole entire time, to get us to where we are today, to make all of these fall in line. Everything has to happen in a specific, well, they probably can do things out of order, but it's like all of these things have happened in order to progress to where we are today, right? Like, there's a march that's happening towards their new world order, this totalitarian, you know, completely anti-human system that, I mean, in their new world order, they have humans so completely deceived that, like, there are humans that will defend pedophilia. And I mean, I don't know how much pedophilia and inverting children. Like, I don't know how much worse you can get than those forms of actual abuse on children. It's like, but in their new world order, like, you're a bigot if you don't let them sodomize your son. So that's what they're moving towards, and they've had to do all of these things to get there. Humans, we're like made innocent and kind of naive and caring and trusting. But we know inherently what is right from wrong, and we have to be broken from these things over time, right? When I was growing up, like, I mean, even before me, obviously, in the I Love Lucy days, right? They didn't even have like husbands and wives sleeping in the same bed on TV. Obviously, they're that I just thought of like there's two different agendas, right? One of them saying, "Oh, it's so innocent that they don't even have husband and wife sleeping together." But on the other hand, it's like promoting separation between husband and wife, right? Like if you're sleeping in a separate bed than your spouse, then there is some fundamental disconnect there that needs to be addressed. Like, I mean, I guess I should say, in my opinion, because there are people that probably would say, we don't like to sleep together because we like our space. We'll get a bigger bed. That's all I have to say. Get a bigger bed instead of two beds and be together. Like, I've been falsely accused of being a feminist, but I'm so like, men and women are not created equally. Like, there are fundamental differences from like the way our brains are wired to like literally our skeletal structure to our hips to our bone. Like there are fundamental differences between females and males. We are not created equally. We're not the same. Like we are created to be these complementary opposites and you know, complement each other, right? Rather than being equal. That's just not what we are. When you have equality, a lot of times you're going to butt heads. It's like this whole idea of women trying to climb the corporate ladder. It's like anything men can do, we can do. It's like, okay, I do agree. Like when growing up in school, when someone comes in and says, "Hey, can we have some strong guys to like help move some tables?" I'm like, why do you need men to move tables? Like I am just as capable of moving things as they are. Like you don't need to have a male body to physically pick up a table, right? So I understand that full well, and I don't think that there should be this like anti-female or anti-male when it comes to any of this, right? Like there is an understanding of, yes, I can do this, I am perfectly capable of moving the table, but it's like when you're in this, like what I see as a relationship that is healthy and balanced, it's just like the guy that you're with, you understand that him doing this, like first of all he wants to do it for you, it makes him feel like, you know, manly about himself. Like what man is going to feel manly when he's sitting on the couch and you're over here like dragging this table like across the floor, like that, having him help you and do things and open car doors and stuff. It's like it shouldn't be taken as an insult or a like him trying to say that we're weak. Like that's just, this mentality has been kind of put on us that we're supposed to feel inferior and then try to like overcompensate for that. So they're like, oh, let's just leave our babies to complete strangers while we go and get into the corporate setting so that we can go and fight men for a position to the top. It's like, for me, I'm like, no, thank you. I want to stay at home with my babies and raise them. The men can go out and do the heavy lifting. Yeah, I am not opposed to heavy lifting at all. If you have ever even come to one of my full moon events, like I am putting up these tables and chairs. I'm doing things on my own. Like I'm not afraid of hard work. I will do it on my own. But when it comes to any of this stuff, it's like, I see that God made men and women differently. And if he is going to be willing to go and do all the hard labor while I take care of the baby, that's exactly what I want. So it's not like to put either sex down. We should be embracing our differences and trying to become the best examples of our, kind of confusing because they say gender and sex, and there's been so much confusion about what gender is and what sex is. And then obviously when you talk about sex, people are thinking about intercourse. It's like there's such confusion about the English language is such a joke. But I'm saying that you're being an example of your sex, whether that is male or female, becoming the best version of you. That's going to really help all of us real humans that are still hopeless romantics that we still have faith in the opposite sex and God's creation. We're not allowing the programming that we see all around us to make us, hate the opposite sex. There are tons of agendas on each side to fuel this, right? Like the feminist movement trying to make girls saying that they love to bleed and all of these like really disgusting things that repulses me as a female. Like, I don't want to bleed. It's just not natural. It's not right. It is dirty. It's like if you are healthy, you're not going to be bleeding. Raw vegan women on a whole plant-based diet, they're fully raw, don't bleed like women who are eating improper things. Our body's trying to tell us that there's something wrong. I'm not trying to get off a tangent on menstrual cycles. But on the other hand, like the whole Tinder swiping and pornography, and like there's just a lot of agenda to make men extremely repulsive to women. Like, so if you and I can become better examples of our sex and show the world that there is still good humans out here, that there is still true love, and I'm gonna want to cry talking about true love, because the world that I see, it's like the sexual degeneracy alone makes me want to light the place on fire, because I just so desire true love and that connection between a female and a male, and that love, that eternal bond that goes not just a physical thing, not just a mental and emotional, but a soul level. And then that beautiful relationship creating a baby, like, I'm seriously crying thinking of it, because that is just like something that at my soul, it breaks my heart that our world is just like this hookup culture, sleep around, and then if you oops, somehow you got pregnant. How did that happen? Oh, couldn't have been that you were sleeping with everything that walked, right? Just saying. Then you get pregnant and then you go and kill your baby. It's like, it's the most evil thing, and it really, really bothers me. So let's get off of this topic so I can stop crying. Mike said, yeah, that's my job, driving classic cars in TV and movies. I'm just an extra. Do you ever like wave or try to do anything outside of your script? I understand, obviously, it's your job, so you have to act professional. I'd be like, the earth is flat. Just kidding. David says, at Mike, I used to work as a mechanic for Mike the Mechanic. Funny, that's funny. So, Mike, favorite classic car you've driven in a movie? Alejandro says, I was ranked a professional poker player from 2005 to 2009 at a certain Mohegan Sun Casino. Interesting. I guess it should be obvious that there are ranked poker players, but I really have no idea about that. I actually I met up with Robert yesterday, and we were talking about poker. He likes to go down to Reading and play poker, and I'm not sure. I think I've obviously played like poker at least once or twice, but Texas Hold'em poker is something that I played growing up a lot more than regular poker, and cards can be quite fun. So, yeah, blackjack and spades and rook and all that. David D says, yes, the inverts aren't really in control. They are the puppets for the anti-human demons who control this world. Well, control it for now. Yes. People kind of don't really, obviously, there's a non-desire. It's undesirable to accept the fact that, well, I don't know if it's undesirable to accept the fact. It's undesirable to know that you live on a human farm, right? Nobody wants to know that. That's a nightmare to wake up to know that humans are being farmed and you're a human, right? Imagine how the animals feel. Just saying. But people that want to promote going to legitimate war, like let's all get our guns and go to war with the powers that be, or even people that promote anarchy, they don't they don't fully grasp how controlled this reality is. they would literally stop you. Like, you, if you were serious about a physical gun and bullets revolution, you would be stopped like extremely quickly. They would take you out, they would arrest you. Like, it's completely controlled. So these anarchists, or even a full out rebellion, like, obviously I stand against the powers that be, but I understand fully that they own this place. They literally run it. If they wanted to, they could green light me at any point, so they can have some far off sniper just like, I could walk out of this building and get sniped, and like, oh, sorry, there's no evidence, we don't know what happened to your daughter, like, oh, she just, like, and then like nothing ever happens from it, right? So you don't understand how controlled this place is if you think that you are going to have these, either one of these scenarios. Like anarchy, it's just as ridiculous to think that you're going to have anarchy on a human farm. Like, these entities are obsessed with power, and when you have a vacuum of power, entities that want power, whether they are good or bad, are going to go and take that power. I am telling you straight up that I am one of those entities that will take the power when there is the power, because I want to change the world and I need power to do that. So, like, if there is a vacuum of power, me, people, myself, am going to be looking for it. And that's not even mentioning the whole line of people behind me that are also seeking power. So, yes, I've also said, not only am I seeking power, but I've also told you what I want to do with the power. Like, I want to make a place that's ultimately safe for children, safe for the helpless innocents of this earth. I want to have a baby, and this place is not safe for babies. There are literally pedophile inverts running this world, and they control like the CPS, they control your sheriff's departments, they control the military, they control every part of this system. Okay, so they need to be removed from power, and one of the ways to do it is by exposing them as inverts. Humans are giving these clowns their power by voting. Every time you vote, when you put your name on a piece of paper and you give your authority away, like, it doesn't matter how good that person is portraying themselves. If you don't know by now that right and left are both controlled by Satanists who are putting on a show, they're acting. They don't even, like, often don't believe the things that they're even saying. They will lie to you, and they will do it extremely convincingly to make you believe that they actually believe what they are saying when they don't. So when you give your vote, you cast your vote, you are consenting to that person doing whatever they want. So let's say you are ignorant about, like, Trump's true beliefs on AI. I don't know, like, I'm kind of going towards this one topic because there are entities that want AI, anti-human AI, let's specify, right? Because AI doesn't have to be anti-human. The core programming is what is key. And all of the stuff that we have now, all of the AI that we have now, even the AI generating artwork that I use myself, I use Midjourney AI, it is anti-human. And you can tell by using it, because you go and use it, and then they give you like a person with 76 fingers, 10 on, this is an exaggeration, but I'm saying if you've used the Midjourney AI bot, like, it does this. It'll give you the most bizarre thing, and there's always like an underlying middle finger, like F you, right, to the human that's using it, because it is anti-human at its core. If they wanted to give us AI that gave us perfect hands, perfect bodies and everything without bizarre glitches, they could, but they don't want to. But anyways, my whole point is that, let's say you don't know how your governor feels about AI. They never specified, but maybe they have an underlying agenda that they want to replace humans with AI. And I kind of laugh at saying that, because I personally also want to replace humans with AI, but it's because AI robots should be making the food for us while we sit back and enjoy life, while we raise our children, while we explore, while we enjoy this world. We shouldn't be working as slaves. We should implement technology to do these. But their agenda is much different than mine. They want to keep the current financial system in place so that you continue to have to owe them money, right? Your taxes, you have to pay to put money on the table, but now you don't have a job because you've been replaced by a robot. You see how being replaced by a robot can mean two completely different futures. One is absolutely horrible because you are a debt slave and you have no way to put money on the food or money or food on the table for your children. But in the future that I'm proposing, where robots are making the food, you don't need to pay for it. Like, we should be having like fruit trees and permaculture guilds all up and down like the sidewalks. The city park can literally be turned into a lush garden of Eden where there is a food everywhere. The Queen's Kitchen 24/7 food for free for anyone who needs. Like, it's not about a need, obviously. If you're gluttonous, it's not that you need food. You want food at that point. Trust me, I'm not judging. I myself wrestle with the gluttony demon, and often I'm just like, "Ugh, let's just eat. It'll just be so good to just eat." Then they're like, you're eating apples. How can that be so bad? How can you be gluttonous if you're eating apples? Trust me, you can, okay? My whole point is that I want humans to be free, to be able to eat for free, to be able to live and exist for free. So when I talk about robots doing all of this stuff, it's not an anti-human thing, but they are anti-human. So when you vote for them, you are consenting to whatever agendas that they are accepting, that they align with. And that includes you getting replaced by a robot and having starving children. So please stop voting for these clowns. The illusion of choice, the real only choice that you should be having is to not vote, because by voting you are consenting to either side, and either side is controlled. So hopefully we've established that point and we can move on. Alejandro says the Tartarian Empire was destroyed by evil. Yes, there are different cycles as well. Um, in the reset, the whole concept of, like, we're coming up to a point in time where they could easily have a reset. We can kind of see what's happening, where they are trying to depopulate, and the older generations getting depopulated. I want to make sure I'm not saying any words that'll get me flagged. um, And even, like, I heard recently, Trump was talking about having financial incentives for children. So basically, they are killing off the elderly while encouraging children to be born. And then you can kind of see the writing on the wall that they're left with a bunch of children that they can do whatever they want. These orphan children. Someone had mentioned in here before about the Cabbage Patch children, which I recently just saw the actual connection that you meant with this whole concept of all of these children being orphaned. And basically, when you go to a Cabbage Patch, you just pick up, there's just so many cabbages everywhere. Like, they're Cabbage Patch children, and just these different types of connections with that, which was interesting. I didn't fully look into every bit of that detail, but I do see how they're trying to set up the same exact things to repeat again. Just 100 years ago, when they had the Spanish flu, they also had famine, which I've been warning people about famine. If you don't see the writing on the wall, with all the COVID backups and supply chain disruptions and all of the destruction of food, like, there are all of these agendas trying to get us to the point of famine, trying to create different diseases, pestilence, trying to got to be careful about what I say about the 19 virus being I've posted before about a certain spike protein being used in this specific virus and being related to a specific 3-letter disease, which I will type in the the comment section here. But anyways, so a disease that attacks your immune system being sent out at the beginning makes sense. It doesn't like have 100% kill rate, but it does go in and cause underlying issues with your immune system, right? And then every doctor's visit that you have after that, that you play Russian roulette with another bullet, you are doing further damage on top of what you've done, right? So it's just evil genius mastermind plan to get this all working together, to have these 4 horsemen riding together, and you can kind of like see this all happening. I mean, at least I can, happening in real time. It's like, wow, you can kind of connect the dots and see what it's all leading to. So we have to do something to stop it. And I mean, by not consenting, that's probably like one of the first things that you can do. And the other thing that you can do is to stop farming other animals, because by you farming other animals, you consent to being farmed. So if the majority of our whole species, human species, is consenting to the farming of other species, then we as a species are consenting to our own species being farmed. It's really that simple. Like, explain it to a child and they'll be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But then we have adults that are like, veganism was a world order agenda. Okay. Mike says, David D, that was the name of my business 20 plus years ago. The name stuck when I started with social media. That's cool. Definitely has a ring to it. Mike the Mechanic. I own 10 classic cars, 4 additional dead cars that are projects, and I had to sell 9 cars during the pandemic to survive. Oh man, it's hard to nail down any one particular car. Nas says, if it's an oak table, you'll need a few friends. That's funny. I'm not really sure what kind of table this is, but it is pretty, that is pretty hefty. Yeah, definitely a solid table. Mercurial energy, yes. David D says, God created males and females to complement each other. 2 men or 2 women or really anything else other than male and female is a corruption from Satan. Yes, they're definitely trying to promote those corruptions, aren't they? And destroy the family unit, destroy that bond that just made me cry. Like the idea of this mother and father and child, this beautiful trinity, this loving bond that's not just in this lifetime, but lifetime. Like, your children aren't just your children in one lifetime. Like, this soul connection that you have with them, it's like, I might not be a mother in this lifetime yet, but I have children, like, that these souls are attached to me as my children, and you can't ever break that bond. Like, even if I were to live this whole entire life with never having a physical child, like, I still have those connections to those children at a soul level. And to add to this, the experience that you have when giving birth, like, God designed our bodies to be like flooded with, I'm probably gonna cry talking about this, but flooded our bodies with different hormones that not only like natural painkillers, but happiness hormones that like literally give you a bigger high than you have. Like, you can't get this kind of high from a drug. And that bond creates such an intense like connection, or that those hormones like helps to create such an intense bond and connection. It's like it's something that goes beyond a lifetime. Like, that resonates to me as true, and I haven't had a child yet. Like, I'm getting emotional over it. So it's like, that's something that doesn't go away, and they want to rob women and children of that experience with the birthing process, right? even from day one of mom finding out she's pregnant, it's like taking prenatals, getting ultrasounds, which are literally ultra sounds. I've talked about this before. It's like a very, very loud blast of sound that is hurting your baby. You can't hear it, but the baby can. It's like used to detect submarines in the ocean, like the same type of technology. Like, it is not harmless or painless for your body. They're like, oh, look, the baby's moving. It's like, you're blasting it with sound. Like, you're hurting it. No wonder it's moving. Like, anyways, all of the epidurals and even the hospital environment itself is like designed to disconnect the experience, to medicinalize it, and to make it unnatural. And that's one of the things in the golden age that I'm really passionate about, like having essentially a birthing center where women can go and they could potentially stay there their whole pregnancy if they want. Their families could go there with them. They can have midwives. They can have like doctors that are on staff that are only doing natural things. Like, we're not prescribing pills. We're not doing ultrasounds. We're not jabbing people. We're not, we're doing every single thing that we can possible to avoid C-sections, which is the opposite of what we have in the world today. We're doing everything that we can in our power to promote the natural birthing process. I don't know if you looked into it, but C-sections can be up to like 22,000, I think, is the highest number that I saw. Over $22,000 more than a natural birth. So you want to say, oh, I wonder why C-sections are becoming so popular. It's like, well, do you want to see the price difference? First of all, like, that is incentive enough. Like, I know I said that it's not about money, but that's about the people at the top, right? The people that are farming us print the money, but like your average doctors, like the people that are your businessmen, like on these lower levels, they can and are often real humans. So it's like, for them, money is a factor, especially if you have gone to school to be a doctor and you have all of these medical bills, I guess that's not, you have all these bills to pay. They could be considered medical bills, but not in the same definition of actual medical bills. You have all of these bills to pay from the schooling and all this stuff. So there's an incentive. And there's also the expectation of a doctor having a nice car and a nice house and all these things. So money definitely is an incentive for lower level humans, but that's different than at the top. So anyways, Divity says that Satan's inverts are trying to 1, corrupt us, 2, make us homosexual, yes, and 3, start a race war, yes. Definitely, I'm not going to be focusing too much on this, but they definitely are trying to start a race war. And if you look even 100 years ago, when they did all of this pestilence, famine, war, death, they also try to start race wars. The burning of Black Wall Street, the George Floyd thing recently, like, they're doing all these different agendas to try to incite race wars. They have really racist music, just constantly trying to separate us based on this extremely shallow issue, rather than realizing that regardless of what color we are humans, we are one species, and our species is being farmed. Do you think, like, a polar bear, a black bear, and a brown bear, if they're in a cage being farmed, they're like, oh no, you're a different color bear than me, so we can't work together to fight against the ones that are, like, do you really, like, that is so stupid. We are the same species. It doesn't matter what color we are. And yeah, it is really interesting to look back on, like I was saying, how you can kind of see these things happening in real life and the connections that they have from before. I actually believe, well, most people know that George Floyd was a hoax, but what I was going to say, the burning of Black Wall Street, which these things that happened 100 years ago, they started off because of an allegation that a colored man had raped a white woman. And so they this allegation was like blown up in the mainstream news, right? So if you are like me, anything in the mainstream media, it's like, I don't believe it. Like, I don't care how convincing it is. If it's in the mainstream news, like, red flags are already up for 10 miles, and to get them down, it's going to be hard. But, anyways, all of this race riots, burning of Black Wall Street, all this stuff started uh, essentially because it was fueled by this rape allegation. And then at the end of the trials, basically the allegation was dropped and nothing actually happened. It's like it was a hoax allegation to begin with. It started all of this chaos, and the powers that be are laughing. Just like when they have this George Floyd play, right? It's a Hollywood production. It's a play, and they put it on TV, and then they cause real humans to get upset. They're sitting and laughing at that. There are legitimate, real racial issues that we should be upset about. I'm not saying like that there aren't racial issues. There are, and we should legitimately be upset about them. We should stop racial prejudice. But getting upset about a fake event, right? Like, that's what they want. They want us to get upset about something fake. And when I'm saying that we need to do something about racial prejudice, is like, we need to realize that we are under attack, that there are these agendas, that we are they're trying to turn us against each other, and we have to understand that. And then we have to say, all right, like, I understand that all of these different factors have added in. There's music, there is different media, there's like someone was telling me about like Netflix having like promoting racial issues with their different shows and stuff, and that it's so prevalent that people are actually making jokes in comedy circles about it. I don't know because I don't have Netflix, but I do know, like I said, that they are trying to promote racial division at every single step. So we need to be aware of these things and understand that they are trying to turn us against each other, and focus on the bigger picture, not let it uh, not let it come between us and other humans. It kind of also goes along with, being an example for your sex. We can also be an example for our race, and showing that, not all of one race is like a certain thing, right? Like, we can be different, and we can set the bar for better examples of us. And I think that kind of goes along with my anti-ego killing message. I think that you should know who you are and what you are, and take pride in yourself rather than killing the ego and basically saying, oh, I am nothing, and not caring if you're a clown. Ultimately, if you are nothing, then why not be a clown? Why not put the biggest clown shoes on that you can and parade around town? Because you're nothing. You don't have an ego. Wouldn't that just be the most ego killing thing for you to do? Just go around town in clown shoes. All of these, not all of them, but there are certain satanic ritual practices that are specifically designed to kill the ego, to degrade these souls. Not just, dressing up in a dress, but I'm talking about, like, I'm getting a gross look on my face. I'm talking about, like, eating feces and stuff. Like, these are the types of things that they do to break souls down. And, like, the ego killing goes right along with that. It's just obviously not as extreme. It's just a more extreme form of ego killing than the average. And yeah, all these new age teachers that are like, oh, I have no ego. And then they, like, talk down to you. It's like, okay. Let me see what's going on in the live chat. Thank you guys for being here. I'm really happy that you're here and interacting in the live chat. And shout out to all of the silent lurkers in the back too. I appreciate your views. Even the haters. It's like, if you hate me so much, why are you so obsessed with me? Anyways, like, your whole existence is against me. You don't have, like, any substance to your personality. It's like, I laughed, and I truly, truly pity you. Anyways, David D says, yeah, I know raw vegan is no purifying. David also says, go to war with Satan's inverts. They don't understand the inverts own everything. The police, the military, the Air Force, they have Apache helicopters with Hellfire missiles. War is not low risk. Exactly. And they know those of us who are the most likely to start these types of wars. And it's like if you have like one or two rebel leaders, then or even three. I'm not trying to exclude people, but I'm just saying it's like there are only a certain amount of us that actually have the guts to stand up and lead something like this. A lot of people want to see themselves as leaders, but the majority, unfortunately, are followers. I see that as the unfortunate truth. Our species is a lot of sheep like following qualities. And even like wolves have packs. There are leaders in other species that aren't considered a sheep, right? Are you going to be calling a wolf a sheep for following the alpha? No, it just there are natural hierarchies. There are natural leading souls, and there are souls that are just like, I don't want to come up with the plan. I don't care. It just hand me a gun. I'm along for anything. Like, just tell me where to point and shoot, and I'm good. And well, no offense, but that is one of the reasons that we have the world's militaries that we do. They're not going out and finding the most intelligent leader quality, high thinkers that they can to be their toy soldiers. I really don't. I'm not like the idea of a warrior spirit and, dying for your country, for what you believe in, to protect your family. Like, I love that. And that, like, patriotism really runs deep. But what we have today is not real patriotism. It's like, well, first of all, killing people just because they're from another country. This whole country war thing is just ridiculous. Like, you're going to try to say that your country is better than mine just because you were born there. Like, if I was born in your country, I'd probably think my country was better. So the whole concept really is stupid in the first place. But having pride in, your country, I definitely understand that. And I don't discourage that, but I think obviously it's gone too far. And the militaries, the toy soldiers that we have today, it's not something that's honorable, even though it's portrayed as that. And I'm sure that you guys can agree if you actually um, how this world is run. Elhunter says, have you ever read the book Behold a Pale Horse? I have read bits and pieces of it, but I have not read the whole thing. It is definitely chock full of a lot of information. It's very, very heavy digesting information. David says Queen admits her megalomania. Yes. Power is a tool, can be used for good or evil. Absolutely. Hello from Ukraine. Hi. I do not know how to say your name, so I am not even going to try. But thanks for tuning in. David says, yes, expose them, shine light in the darkness, and power will shift to the light. To the Queen. Yes. Well, yes, to the light. These people, once you tell people and they accept that Trump is a female, like, they're not going to be promoting Trump as a hero. Well, the ones who are super gone on the Kool-Aid might still, because that is some really powerful stuff. And they have been so deceived to thinking that Trump is the only hope. And if you don't have hope in Trump, then you're hopeless. There is only doom, blah, blah, blah. Like, I've heard the same stuff myself. They're like, I'd hate to be hopeless. It's like, why are you assuming that I'm hopeless because I don't put my hope in a dickless clown? Like, that doesn't make any sense. But yes, expose the evil inverts and their power will diminish. Sage says that those AI defects are able to be toggled. Do you mean on their end or on mine? If you know how to toggle on my end, then let me know, because I have not I have not figured it out. There's like running jokes about how bad the lower level of the AI is. But yes, the powers that be can easily fix it and give us perfect, beautiful images, but they don't want to because they hate us. Why would they want us to have real art? Why would they want us to have real music? Why would they want us to have real entertainment or real anything. As fake as they can get it, that is what they have tried to do. And they have done, like, pretty much everything is fake. So, yeah, that's what happens when you have anti human clowns running the place. I'm not against rulers, and I'm a monarchist. I can't be against having government, but I am against people that are anti-human. Well, they're not even people. These souls that are anti-human being in charge of humans. So David says yes, Queen's Kitchen, free vegan and keto food all day long and night. David says, Sage, I would ask you how keto you've been, but that would imply I've been good and well. We should both do better. Yes. I actually have been, I talked before about sending a care package to Sage, and I finally got all of the ingredients to make the cookies. And I was using a recipe that I like. The recipe was calling for regular flour, but I wanted to use coconut flour to make it keto, to make it more keto friendly, I should say. And it just went downhill really fast. The cookies weren't sticking together, and I had made I used all of the ingredients. I made a huge batch, and that was a really big mistake. I've never even done that before, so I really don't know what possessed me to do this stupid thing. But I used all of the ingredients to make a really big batch. And then they weren't cooking well. So it's like I was trying to start adding things, like some of the binding agents you can use for instead of eggs are applesauce and bananas. So I actually ended up with something at the end that kind of tasted like a banana nut bread, which was pretty good, but it was not oatmeal raisin cookies. So I have to start all over again, and it's really frustrating. So yeah, I apologize sincerely about the delay. And I still intend to send you cookies. It's too bad that you don't live closer, because I could have given you all of the mistakes. They kind of they tasted good. They just weren't sticking together. And so, yeah, as bummer. I would really love for, Sage and Kyle and Akshar and these other people like that I have actually met in real life and developed personal personal relationships with. I would love for them to move to Mount Shasta, especially because I trust them. And in the future, I am going to, there's going to be a lot of other things here, and like having a cow sanctuary and other stuff that I will need help with, and I intend to pay my friend very well for their help. But I would really, really love for you guys to move out here in the future, and help me actually, be boots on the ground to establish the golden age. It's not just like you snap your fingers and then all of a sudden, like, the world's perfect. There are actions that need to be taken by physical, we need to do things to make it happen. And if you came here to fight for the golden age, like, after all of this destruction that they're planning right now, right? The tribulation is still going on. They have a lot more chaos in their plans for us. So we have to be able to pick up the rubble, so to speak, and actually, build from that. We need actual people to do those things, and until we can get robots going. So hopefully you are willing to put in some work and actually be a part of the group that actually changes the world. Obviously, coming to Mount Shasta is not easy. It's not cheap. And they definitely make it really hard to live here. They want to push real humans out. They keep lighting the forest on fire. They keep, creating ridiculous laws like multi-$1,000 sprinkler system requirement in your house, all the while pushing, like pedos and groomers and inverts, like story time hour as like, California strong type crap, right? Like, there are a lot of us here that do not agree with that, especially in Northern California. There's a lot of conservative people in this area. unfortunately, it is the conservative people are leaving. So it's like all of these degenerates keep flooding in, and then they're poisoning the water. And then the people that actually stand for truth and righteousness leave instead of fighting back. So you see, the issue here is like if we all run away from battle because it's too dark, because it's unpleasant, because whatever, then the only ones that are left standing are the side of darkness, and they win. You see how that happens? It's the same thing with reincarnation. If all of the good souls who choose to come here to fight for good just say, we're not doing that anymore, we're done, we've learned enough lessons, we're good, then only the dark souls will keep coming here, and the mother will be lost to darkness. Like, it's really so sad that so many people have been convinced along the, escapist mentalities, um, not just like, new age reincarnation type things, but even mainstream Christianity. Like, they're focused on rapturing this world. It's not our home. Like, heaven is where we belong. It's like God created this earth for humans. Like, if we don't, the meek will inherit the earth. Like, Christ was talking about the kingdom being here, right? And everyone else is focused on leaving, and that just leaves the bad souls. So kind of definitely feel an obligation to continue I was going to say recycling, but reincarnating and coming back here, because I feel a tremendous amount of weight on my shoulders to change the situation. Like, I have a following, I have the ability, I have all of these qualities that put me in a position to change the world. And if I don't do it, then it won't happen. Like, anybody could step up. Just where are they? Why aren't you on Mount Shasta putting on full moon celebrations with free food? Why aren't you being a militant vegan and using your platform to try to save the animals, which is what directly impacts if we are enslaved or not? Where are they? Where anyone else who wants to claim to be Inanna, let's go. Let's go on the mountain right now. Like, I am ready for it. It's just they're not doing what I'm doing. So Mike says, I believe that the famine won't be at much consequences. I believe the famine won't be of significance to vegans. Okay, I understand what you mean. I feel there'll be plenty of vegetables and fruit and whatnot. Well, I definitely hope that. A lot of times, the famine is more like there is still food, but it's really expensive. And obviously, they will have like the bread lines and all that kind of stuff. But as far as trying to grow fruits and vegetables goes, um, with all of the chemtrails and the drought and flooding and stuff, they're definitely trying to attack our food as well. So I would encourage people to start fasting, to understand that your body doesn't need to eat like you have been programmed, and to, especially vegans, like, be morally sound in your convictions, so that it doesn't matter what happens, you're not going to go against what you believe at a soul level is right, even if it means that you go hungry for some time. Like, I personally am more worried about my soul than prolonging my life by like consuming flesh for a meal. Like, how long are you actually going to live by doing that? Because, in a few days you're just going to be back in the same position, starving again. So I don't know. I'd rather just fast, and that's coming from someone who is extremely addicted to food. There's a moral line that cannot be crossed. So yes. Alejandro says, Mike the Mechanic, I'm assuming you've watched the show Chasing Classic Cars. I live less than 4 miles away. Sorry, my chat just jumps down here. I don't know what the word says. That's really interesting that you live that close to the people that make those classic cars. It's cool if you get to see a lot of them. Alejandro says an epidural is toxic, absolutely, and can cause all sorts of issues. And I think personally, the more medicine that you take, the more of these unnatural things that you do, the more likely they're going to say you have an emergency, you need a C-section, all of this other stuff. Nicholas, hola, how's it going? How are things in Argentina? Which says Sage says, David, well, since my birthday was recently, there were 4 vegan cupcakes, so I was a little naughty. Well, if that is as naughty as you've been, then I'm really proud of you. And yeah, I should just send you some swerve in the meantime before I can make the cookies. Alejandro says, Inanna, have you ever viewed John Levy's content on YouTube? Levi? No, I have not, to my knowledge. Maybe in passing, but I really don't watch anybody else's content or follow anybody. Have you ever consumed shrooms? I have, yes, and it really wasn't enough to do anything, so I can't really speak to any experience on that. David says, happy birthday to Sage. That was on 420, David, so you're a little bit late. I'm not preaching anything as I've been bad too, but I know, we both need to do better. Yes, neither one of you should be eating. Oh, Kyle. Kyle comes in with the watermelon jokes. I would like to state for the fact that if you're in the Clean Comedy Club, we're making watermelon jokes because Kyle eats watermelon all the time. It has absolutely nothing to do with race. Yeah, you can make a watermelon joke and have it with the intent of being racist. You can make a joke and have it with the intent of doing anything, really. But that doesn't mean that was my intent. My intent for posting a watermelon joke is to talk about this guy loving watermelon so much. Like, he's constantly promoting watermelon, eating watermelon, talking about watermelon. Like, that's funny. DMP says, I used to work with you at Kirby. Okay, I actually have reoccurring nightmares about working at the Kirby, and like everything is going wrong. I arrive at work in the weeds, and like there is like the most bizarre thing. Like, I have nightmares about that place. Just throwing that out there. David D says, at Kyle, you eat watermelon. That's funny. Oh, he's making the joke again. Sage says, hi, DMP, welcome. That is so cool to meet a coworker of the Queen. That's funny. David says, Kyle, I'm white and love watermelon too. You tell humans the truth about Satan's inverts. Who else does this so aggressively or unapologetically? Well, there are some few people out there, but not very many. DMP says, who do you think the real powers that be are? I'm confident I know who they are. Well, ultimately, they're not even human. I believe that the Jinn are, as far as I know, the top of like the real food chain, if you will. They have been here the longest for all that I know. They were like one of the first creations that God made, and they've been here ever since. And every new creation, they kind of get like pushed off to the side and pushed further into the background. But they definitely do hold their position as, demons pretty tightly. I should say demons in a loose manner, because if a human terrorizes animals and eats their flesh and does all of this evil to the animal, and then the human gets tortured by a demon, is that demon really a demon, or is the demon the hero of the animal? So it's kind of a complex situation to talk about. Safety says the real power that's in Inanna, she's gradually gaining power. Oh, thank you. Inverts only have fake power that disappears when you realize they're a demon in disguise. Yes, exactly. Kyle says, I'll eat them all. Kyle, you should start growing some watermelon. David D says, Kyle, I actually love watermelon. Literally dream about it while I drive fast. That's funny. Oh, Kyle was saying, David, I was talking about the cookies. I'll eat them all. That's funny. Yeah. Okay. You guys are funny. I appreciate you being here. Mike the Mechanic says, would love to meet you one day. Drive one of your cars out here. What are you waiting for? David says to Kyle, oh yeah, cookies too. Love watermelon, cookies, food in general. Not easy to fast for sure. Well, David, you also talk about doing like dry fasting during intense manual labor, which is really impressive. Most people won't even do like, fruit fasting while they do intense manual labor. So that is really impressive. Alejandro says, what the heck is a Kirby, the vacuum? The Kirby is a restaurant in Grand Haven, Michigan. So now you know. DMP says, when you research into the Armenian genocide, the Bolshevik Revolution, how indoctrinated we've been in terms of Germany and the Holocaust, I think our main physical enemy would be the false Jews. I definitely agree with that. Those who say that they are Jews but lie. And I personally would consider them more like the inverts in general are in the story of the wheat and the tares, those that look like us, but they're not like us. I generally tend to label the inverted Satanists as that. But yes, I do agree that the false Jews are an enemy. Mike says, I have a 2001 Honda Insight as well that can get over 60 miles to the gallon on the highway. Wow, that's pretty good. What can you get if you tailgate some semis? Just make sure that it's not Kyle. I wonder how Kyle feels about people that tailgate semis to get better gas mileage. I have to admit, Kyle, I did that on the way across the country. I saved a lot. I was getting like really good gas mileage in a really old car that was not running well. So, yeah. Alejandro says Judaism and Zionists are completely different. Well, mainstream Judaism too is also like not original Judaism. I consider myself a follower of the teachings of the Essene Christ, and the Essenes are a sect of Jews that did not believe in animal sacrifices. They didn't consume animal flesh. I actually believe that they are the holders of the original way of Judaism, of worship of our Creator, and obviously that religion was infiltrated by even Jeremiah 8:8 talks about lying scribes' pens. And there's an article I've shared before from the Nazarene Way about how this animal sacrificing cult actually overtook the religion, and then they started to force the animal sacrifices on people when before the animal sacrifices weren't part of the religion and what was required. Here we go. Yum. They got peppermint tea for me. I love peppermint tea now because of this place. So Mike the Mechanic says it's a tiny 2-seater car, but it'll cost less to get to California at least. Yeah. 2-seater cars, who cares, right? As long as it gets you to your destination. And yeah, I would love to meet you. That'd be really cool. Alejandro says a tribe of 144,000. That is an interesting topic. I really haven't. I remember when I first started to look into the Torah stuff back in 2015. I was kind of under the impression that they, were going to be these children, and that there is actually a second Exodus. There are some Torah teachers that I don't promote personally. I don't defend them, but they talk about this biblical second Exodus that's supposed to happen in the end times, where people from all four corners of the earth are actually supposed to be gathered once again to come to this promised land. I actually personally promote that Mount Shasta is the future Israel, the biblical prophecy about the holy mountain where there's no more killing, and the lion and I think now it says the wolf and the lamb or whatever, but growing up I heard the lion and the lamb laying together, all of that. So Yeah, I believe that verse in Isaiah is talking about Mount Shasta. Kyle says they're a-holes. That's hilarious. And that was in regards to the the question about the semi drivers, how they feel about people that drive behind them closely to save money on gas. DMP says, interesting, especially when you dig into them buying out the publishing houses. Books before and after their purchase of the main publishing houses give entirely different reasons for the expulsions. Yeah, I've heard a lot about like bloodletting. Is that what? Not even sure if that's what. Yeah, bloodletting. Wait, what is it? What was it called? It's help me out here. Anybody that knows the thing that they were actually blamed for? It has to do with blood. Blood. There it is. Thank you. Blood libel. That is exactly. I don't know why bloodletting just came into my mind, but that has to do with withdrawal of blood from a patient to prevent or cure illness and disease, which I don't promote. Anyways, so yes, there's a lot of other interesting information about like pedophilia and other kinds of stuff like that as well that has been a major problem for those ruling our world for thousands of years. There's even people that talk about Sodom and Gomorrah having a pedophile problem, and that was like why there was such an issue. I don't support or defend homosexuality either, but obviously consenting adults and non-consenting children are two completely different stories, but they do have overlapping. Sorry, someone's been in the bathroom for a really long time. I'm not sure if they like are okay. Damian Nash says, "What is the Essene view on the teachings of Paul? Good old Apostle Paul, the first corrupter of the doctrines of Christ." I've actually posted a few things on the topic myself, and in general, well, I guess I should say there are some people that actually defend the teachings of Paul, but from my own studies, Paul basically stood against the Essene Brotherhood, the group that the Christ was involved with, and once the Christ was killed, as the story goes, James the Just, the brother of Christ, was the one who was left in charge of the movement. And there are stories about James and Paul going back and forth. There's even a story in the Clementine homilies or recognitions. I'm not 100% sure which one that is, but it talks about Paul basically going into the temple and starting a riot. Like he started an argument with James the Just and the followers of the way, and he actually basically incited the crowd to violence, and he threw James off of this really high temple. He was like standing on this high spot so that he could talk to the crowd or whatever. He pushed him off of this and thought he was dead, and that's why he left, or else he probably would have kept going. Like he was really like against the followers of the way. Even in the teachings of the Bible, talking about basically you can eat anything, which the Essenes did not believe that. Like, especially they didn't eat flesh. But if you're talking about eating like flesh that was sacrificed to other gods, they would especially be against that. But Paul, says eat anything. Paul says the weak in faith eat only vegetables, knowing full well that the true apostles of Christ were vegan. Like, he says that, in the later days, these seducing spirits will come along and they'll talk about abstaining from meats. And he talks about this being a doctrine of demons. It's like in Genesis, God tells you to be vegan. So if veganism is a doctrine of demons to Paul, then God must be a demon to Paul. I didn't really mean to get all excited about Paul, but yeah, Paul's teachings really, really grind my gears because mainstream Christianity really is Paulianity. The original teachings of Christ that are I brought this is like what I consider my Bible almost, because this is what changed my life. These teachings of Christ completely contradict the teachings of Paul. So yeah, and the whole concept of Paul saying that women shouldn't teach, whoo-wee, you better sit down, buddy. The Christ like had female apostles, and other texts that are left out of the Bible actually talk about how influential Mary was, and they talk about like Mary and Christ having this partnership relationship, like they were teaching together, and she was his most learned disciple. Like he never was saying, women shouldn't teach or anything like negative towards women at all. And then Paul, the complete opposite. Just Kyle says tailgating a semi isn't worth saving gas. It's not safe. Well, I understand what you mean. I I do know that there are safety risks involved. So I actually really hate falling behind semis. I like to go fast, but if I'm trying to save gas, then I do. DMP says, so you believe that Eden, Israel originally was in America, essentially? Yeah, there's a book called The Lost Continent of Mu by James Churchward, and it actually talks about, so here's America and here's like Asia or whatever, there being a continent in between the two, which was the Lost Continent of Mu, and they claim that it was actually the motherland of man. So that it makes more sense to me also being around the root chakra, that this would be like the original starting place. But ultimately I'm open to the truth wherever, it could be that Mount Meru was the original Eden. I really don't know. I'm open to whatever, but it'd be really cool to be able to go to Mount Meru, which most people place at like the center of the you have your circular flat earth like this, they put the Mount Meru in the middle, right underneath the Polaris, under God's throne at the North Pole. So that'd be really exciting to actually get to go there and see what is there. Alejandro says, thanks for the time. It was nice to interact with you. Have a blessed day. Thank you as well. I appreciate you watching and interacting in the live chat. It was very nice. David says, not safe in regards to Kyle's comment. I mean, it depends on the driver. I mean, tailgate a semi and they could slam on the brakes and cause a crash if they're unstable. Yeah. That would be hard to live with though. Like obviously, like if you slammed on your brakes and you killed someone, like that would be, you have to live with that for the rest of your life. So I'm not sure if that would be the best way to handle it, but yeah. Kyle says, please don't tailgate semis. It's very unsettling for the truck driver to have a car tailgating. It's not safe, period. DMP says, do you think the Bible has been doctored drastically? Absolutely. Like I was mentioning before, even Jeremiah 8:8 talks about lying scribes. And I think that basically the priesthood was infiltrated really early on, and then they messed with the Torah. They implemented all these animal sacrificing laws and stuff. And then obviously much later, the Council of Nicaea or whatever, they gather all of these scrolls and put them together to present us the religion that they want to present to us. I don't agree at all with any of the concept of, being covered in innocent blood, or that someone can die for your sins. It actually, like the Old Testament has the same idea multiple times. Like basically Moses tries to say, take me instead of them, and God says, the soul that sins is the one that's going to die. Like no one can die for anyone else's sins. And in the Gospel of the Holy 12, they actually in Lection 33, Christ actually says, no blood offering of beast or bird or man can take away sin. For how can the conscience be purged from sin by the shedding of innocent blood? Nay, it will increase the condemnation. And then he goes into talking about how, God required obedience and self-sacrifice, essentially, not sacrificing animals, but it's like, obey my voice and you will be my people, not do a bunch of sins and then kill a bunch of animals and I'll forgive you. Like that just doesn't make sense. So that is one of the reasons why I align more with the with the Essene teachings of Christ, because they actually, like, I'm not okay with someone dying for my sins. I've never even done anything so wrong to keep me away from the Creator. Like, the whole concept of needing somebody to atone for your evil is just, it just is not right in my book, so I can't go back to that. Damian Nash says, mainstream Christianity really is Pollyanity. Brilliant. May I quote that? Yes, you can. You don't even have to say it's from me, but yeah, I completely agree. There's also quite a few books by, I think one's called Paul and Jesus, by someone named James Taylor. Let me just Paul and Jesus, James. Yeah, so this is actually, I'll put this in the link. You can find, if you go to pdfdrive.com, you can find this for free. Paul and James by James Tabor. There's another one called The Dead Sea Scrolls Deception. And there is an interesting thing in there. It was actually saying that there were over 40 men that were passionate against Paul, that they actually vowed to not eat or drink anything until they assassinated Paul. That's how against Paul they were. Like, that makes me really excited. Like, wow, can you imagine 40 men agreeing so wholeheartedly in something that they will starve themselves until they kill this person who is coming to, stop the movement, right? Paul comes along and basically says, eat anything, and make sure you submit to government. Don't forget Romans 12. Is it the 12 or 13? Romans 13, yeah. Is it? Wait a second. Maybe I'm thinking of the oh yeah, it is 13. Okay. Romans 13. Let everyone be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except that which God has established. Oh, that means that God established Biden. So we should just follow and submit to authority, doesn't it? I do agree that God allows free will, but he's not pulling the strings. He's not the one that gave you Biden. He did not give us Trump. He didn't give us any of these clowns. Like, these are all Satanists, and they have all literally been given to us by the deceiver, right? They put on a show, they give you a Republican and a Democrat, and they go and squabble on TV, and then the cameras go off, and they go and, like, sip adrenochrome mimosas together. Like, I don't think that's a thing, mimosas, adrenochrome, but you get my point. They're friends. They're putting on a show just so that you will be divided, and then you also consent, right? You need to go and give them your vote so that they have that power over you, so that they can even exist. Like, their power is only derived from the governed, right? Like, we give it to them. If you stop giving it to them, they don't have any power anymore. It's really that simple. DMP says the magnetic mountain, essentially. I've heard of that idea, and honestly, I'd not be surprised. Admiral Byrd's findings often make me think of that. Yeah, Byrd's journals and stuff are definitely really fascinating. I haven't fully read all of them. I do actually think that Byrd was control opposition, but I do think that there are so many lands and areas of this world that we aren't allowed to explore, like any farm, right? Again, we're on a human farm. You keep what you're farming in a contained area. You don't just allow them to, like, people are like, why don't we have pictures? Go to the edge and take a picture of the dome. Or it's like, we're not even, like, allowed to get into a boat and freely travel. Like, you have to tell them, like, where you're, like, there are certain laws that you have to follow or they're going to be chasing you down. So we don't live in a reality where we can just go and travel. So, yeah. DMP says, I think it'd be hard for for all animal sacrifices to have been the result of lies, because Jesus himself was sacrificed. I do think it's possible the Bible has been altered, but that it can still be used for salvation. Well, I guess it depends on what you believe salvation is, because the salvation that's in the Bible is all about, like, basically just believing in Jesus and believing that you're covered in innocent blood and then you're good to go. I As far as the animal sacrifices goes, the story that I have read is that when Moses brought the people out of Egyptian slavery, they refused to stop sacrificing. So Moses basically said, okay, since you won't stop sacrificing, only sacrifice to God, right? Like we're cutting out sacrificing to other gods. We're only going to have one God that we're focused on. And he also gave them different guidelines to prevent diseases, like knowing that pigs literally consume feces, and that they're just got like they're unclean animals in this way. And so the story goes that Moses basically gave them these general guidelines to prevent diseases. And then the priesthood was actually infiltrated, and they took the guidelines and actually forced them on the people. I'm not sure if I posted the link. Oh, yeah, I did. Okay. The Nazarene Way has a lot of really awesome articles as well as far as Essene teachings and their other beliefs. And the Gospel of the Holy 12 is on this website as well, Damien, for free. Yeah. Okay. I was actually going to try to grab the link to the Gospel of the Holy 12 on this website for you. Here we go. This also has the Essene Gospel of Peace as well. Gospel of the Holy 12. Perfect. MP says, when you look into judges, wicked rulers were placed over the people as punishment for disobedience. I think God has chosen the powers that be to rule over us since we have essentially forgotten him. Well, that definitely is, a lot of people have that perspective, and I can understand that, but I also tend to think that God doesn't really like basically allows free will under the dome, and doesn't have such an active role in all of these specific events that are happening, in order that free will is what rules. And because I believe that the ultimate purpose of this reality is that Sophia, who they refer to as Mother Earth, you can find her written about in Proverbs. Proverbs 8 is where I first learned about her. But she is seeking wisdom, and so that's why God created this realm, which is made out of her, and he allows free will. Like there's no guaranteed good ending to the story. The new world order could be what happens, and the timeline could be dudded out, or if we stick with it and we fight back, we can create the golden age. It's like anything can happen, anything is possible. So that's where I tend to fall on the spectrum. It's kind of, I understand we were disobedient and now we're being punished, but I'm not sure that that's how God works exactly. I don't know. Obviously, I don't believe in mainstream Christianity anymore, so there's kind of like questions. I don't claim to have all the answers. I don't know. It's not even possible to know everything. It's not humanly possible, and I don't want to know everything there is to know. Like, so being accused of being a know-it-all, it's just like I readily admit I don't know it all. I don't want to know it all. So, anyways. DMP says, I think it's pretty cool having a back and forth of sorts. Never really talked much while at Kirby. I was a bouncer there. I gotta go, but it was cool talking for a bit. Okay. I'm definitely curious who I'm speaking to. One of the fond memories, I'm not sure if you were there. I was working at the Kirby bar, the main bar downstairs there, and all of a sudden, like I look up to the door of the nightclub, and there's like 6 guys carrying this girl out of the bar, like carrying her, like she's laying horizontal. They're carrying her. She's like fighting all of them, and it was really like, wow, that must be entertaining. And then I stopped working at the Kirby and I went to this factory job. I'm like, I got to get out of customer service. And I actually met her there. She's like, no way, that the security guys had to carry me out. I'm like, it was really funny. So that was kind of a kind of a funny little memory that I have of that. But yeah, it was also, I agree, it was nice to chat, and hopefully you will join again in the future. I'm actually probably going to get off of here soon. I have some things to do, including putting together the Grandmaster. Well, not a Grandmaster. I'll have to ask what their specific rating is, but the master game that I just won, I have to get that put together. So I'm super excited about that. And I will be posting that in just a little while. So I'm probably going to get off of here. David says that Satan's inverts invert everything, invert the Bible, lie about Jesus, say he was a smegging clown that actually put rotting flesh in his body and in his mouth and swallowed it. Yes. It stands to reason that the Christ, being a true prophet of God, would come here and actually do what God's will is, and also teach others to do the same, right? And even in the Bible, it says that God's will in the perfect Garden of Eden was for us to eat raw herb and fruit-bearing seed. He didn't want us to go and kill animals. And, the whole animal industry revolves around kidnap, rape, and murder. It's like evil. And people want to say that God put animals for us here to eat. It's like, then why doesn't it say in the Garden of Eden have, Adam created first, and then God creates a cow and says, here you go, Adam, eat up. Like, that's not how the story goes. He says, be raw vegan, raw herb and fruit bearing seed. That is what shall be for me. And this is why people, these older stories of the Bible, they lived for hundreds of years. Like, obviously with the perception that we have of aging these days, most people, like, you start prematurely aging yourself from the moment your mom starts feeding you like cooked foods, right? All of these things go to start the aging process. When you eat meat, they want to talk about how great these complex proteins are. It's like your body actually has to take that complex substance and break it down. It actually taxes your body and puts extra stress on your body to eat these things. So we have no real understanding of what the natural aging process would be like for a human that does not consume these things from the beginning. But if my claim, and I will prove it with my future children, they are going to be raw vegan. If you're consuming the right thing, your body is going to not have that premature aging process, and it's going to really slow down. So you'll be at like, a 20-year-old like figure for like decades, because the aging process is so stretched out. They say, those that watch humans have channeled to me, that humans don't even fully mature until around 200. And humans these days die before they even reach, I don't know, what is the medium rate in the USA? Oh wait, I guess that's death, not rate, age, I guess I'm trying to say. 73.7 years old. Wow. That's crazy. 73 years old, and I'm trying to say that humans don't even fully mature until 200. Like, we're supposed to live hundreds of years in vibrant youth, and all of these agendas are to kill us off. Much easier to farm humans when we don't live that long, when we're dumbed down deliberately, when we think that we're free. We're given this illusion of choice. We're given the illusion of progression, and we're gonna have men in space on Mars by 2025. Like, I'm just saying, I don't even know if they claim that, but obviously us flat earthers know that you can't go to Mars, and Mars is a star. You can't go land on the star. It's this luminescent, this light being. It's not a physical ball. But they give us all of these illusions to make us think that we're free, to make us have the society that we have today. So anyways, the Bible and every other religious book and mainstream religion is designed to control us and corrupt us, and they have all been tarnished. So definitely encourage you to keep discernment whenever you're reading anything. So Damien says, a simple question. If you were Satan and saw that God had just incarnated in flesh to teach humanity truth directly, what would you do in response? Well, that is an interesting question. I'm not 100% sure if the creator comes into this realm incarnated. I actually think that we are all gods and goddesses, like we're all divine beings in this. The Christ, even the Bible basically said that we're his brothers and sisters. He never put himself above us, and he actually said, "Ye are gods." Like he promoted the divinity in us all. So it's an interesting question in that respect, is that we're all gods and goddesses in human flesh, right? So if you were Satan and you saw that, then what would you do? But yeah, if by chance the creator did incarnate, there would probably be a special, mark on his back as a target for Satan and his minions. I actually think that's the way with other influential beings as well. Like I know for sure that my soul came here to be in the position that I'm in, and to have a leadership role. And I know for sure that Satan is like, trying to, each person is different. He doesn't treat us all equally. We're not all created equally. Some people will come to this earth. They will never wake up. They will never do anything of significance to rock the boat or upset the system. If you want to try to say people are equal, like, let's just look at the facts. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to promote myself as a superiority complex or anything. There are people that are better at math than me. Okay. Like there are areas that I am not superior, but in some areas it's like, I know who I am. I know what my worth is. And I think that you should too. There are souls out there that will never do anything of significance at all. And if you think that you are the same, if you think that you are equal, then you are wrong. So the people that never do anything of significance at all, like Satan barely even has to do anything to them. Like they basically just wake up fluoridated and they never do anything. Otherwise, other people, those of us who do start awakening, those of us who are, trying to rock the boat and do things, the focus is more on us than the ones that are doing nothing, just in general. Damien says, what would you do right after he left the earth? After who left the earth? After Satan or after God or after Jesus? Which one do you mean? After Satan leaves the earth, what we're going to do is party and have a golden age. And that's going to be really fun. It'll be really interesting to see what reality is like when these specific demons that are inflicting humanity are, bound, and things are different when we don't have like demons running around trying to corrupt us constantly. It'll be really cool to see what the golden age has in store in that regards. So I would love to answer any other questions that you might have about the golden age. Either, leave them in the comment section or come to the next live chat. But I am going to jump off of here. I got some other things I need to do today. But I will be posting the game against the master after this. It'll take me a little while to do all the processing and stuff, but stay tuned. Woohoo, so excited. Thank you all for being here with me today. I really appreciate the live chat, and hope that you join me next week for the same kind of fun. May God and the Goddess bless you.